Installing the RV window. This is a 30 by 15. All the trailer stores and parts warehouses and manufacturers around here, this is the standard size. I couldn't really find anything else. Ideally, I wanted to do 2 smaller windows, but I just decided to opt for the convenience of being able to pick up the window myself and not have to wait for shipping. The way this works is similar to the roof vent. We're gonna have to drill a hole into the wall, mark it out and everything. I'm gonna measure off of the interior frame, and essentially what happens is that I'll have to get someone to hold the outside, and then I will be inside with the frame, line it up, and then sort of sandwich the 2 pieces together. I'm gonna be using some 2x3s as the frame. That should give me the right thickness and offset. Got some beetle tape, some clear RV sealant that I'll be using afterwards once it's all on the exterior perimeter. Some self-tappers, impact drill with 2 drill bits, and then my jigsaw. So the first thing I'm going to do is use some old Bristol board I had left over, and I'm just going to make a template using the interior trim, and I'm going to trace the outside edge of the trim, and then that way I'm going to be able to transfer it to the trailer and make sure that I'm cutting the right hole in the right location. Okay, so I've been having much debates with windows. As you can see, I've been sketching a lot of them out. This was the original window size I wanted to get, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find any, so I'm going with a larger vertical window. Okay, so originally I traced out the center line of the window between the 2 studs, and I was just about to drill the holes, but then I kind of thought, okay, the screws for the panels on the exterior, you know, they got set here on the side of the stud, and then again on the outside edge of the stud. So even though it might be centered between the studs here, it wouldn't be centered with the screw heads on the exterior. So I moved it an inch towards the right here. And so I don't really care if it's not centered on the interior side, because this is going to be all covered. But on the outside, I think it would look a little odd if the window wasn't centered between the screws. So this is the frame I built for the window. It's just out of 2x3s, and I installed some brackets on each side here on the face of the studs to hopefully support, and then I'll PL before I install the frame. I also made a template spacer to help with the spacing for the window so that I get the proper thickness and the window's actually able to sandwich in between the outside face and the inside face, and I get a nice seal. There's a bit of a gap here, and I don't want the outside skin to buckle or oil can, I guess. The reason for that is that top hat studs, you know, obviously they have a thickness to them, which creates a gap between the skin, the outside skin, and the inside face here. This will go on the inside face between the aluminum panel and the window frame. No turning back now. Okay, so I just drilled my 2 pilot holes on my center line, top and bottom. Going around to the outside. I transferred the template on the outside. I had the center lines marked, top and bottom. Line those up, and I think it looks pretty good. It looks centered. Gotta look at it from afar, right? See if you're on the right track. I think it looks pretty good. Drill my hole for my jigsaw bit. Hello. We have a hole in the trailer. Another one. So now, use my handy dandy file and get rid of the burrs so that there's no sharp edges, because we don't want it to damage any waterproofing. Just about to install my spacer plate to my window frame, and I'm going to use some good old PL, install the frame, screw it into the brackets that I put in, PL on the inside face of that as well, and then I'm going to clamp it, let it settle, and then once I go to install the window, it'll kind of all sandwich together. So it's been a little bit. Battery on the GoPro died and I didn't feel like charging it before putting the window in, so I apologize for that. Essentially the window is installed now. 1-inch self-tapper screws sandwich the window, the outside plate and the inside plate together. You can see my little boo-boo there. So what happened is that the lower lip of where the self-tapper goes into on the window broke off. Because I had the screw in sideways. So what I did is I drilled another hole and then installed a new screw. I put a little piece of electrical tape to sort of hide that hole. Now the only complaint I have about this window is that there's no screw hole here for a tapper, and what happens is that there's a little gap in all the corners, and so I was a little worried about when I was putting the spray foam that it would start seeping through. So what I did is I added a piece of cardboard that was left over from a case of beer, and I sort of lined it with the dark side up so that if there was, the spray foam wouldn't come through, and then that dark color inside you don't kind of see the foam itself. So there's the window install from the outside. I just put up the cutout with a brick on top to let it not get rained on overnight, because it rained last night. I cleaned up the butyl tape that was expanding out with just a plastic knife, so that cleaned up really well. And then I did an absolute terrible job with some caulking and just lined the upper perimeter of the window just for an added security. I'm not too happy with the come out of it, but I guess it could be worse.